there, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today for one of our AT&T focused webinars. I'm Sam, and I moderate these weekly presentations. And in just a second, we'll be joined by Michael Corgett. Michael is one of our AT&T focused financial advisors here, and he's going to be giving you some details related to whether or not you should take the lump sum or the annuity option when you decide to retire from AT&T. I apologize in advance. We will not have any time today to answer any questions because we do like to try and keep these presentations short. But there is a Q&A box at the bottom. Please feel free to ask away. It's completely anonymous, and I will make sure to field your question to one of our AT&T focused financial advisors after the presentation has ended, and they'll reach out to you either through phone or email to answer those questions. While Michael is speaking, you're going to see me enter some links. They're going to pop up on your screen. You can click on those. They're going to guide you to various resources we have available, one of which will be a link to our calendar, where you can book an appointment with one of our AT&T focused financial advisors, as well as links to other resources we have for you. And also, please, as always, follow us here on YouTube, follow us on LinkedIn. We post tons of AT&T related content weekly, and we really think you'd get some value out of it if you gave us a follow, and if you do, thank you so much in advance. And lastly, very quickly, I would just like to remind you that we are not affiliated nor endorsed whatsoever by AT&T. We are a completely independent group of financial advisors, so please keep that in mind as you're listening along today. And without further ado, let's jump right into it with Michael Corgett.
Thank you, Sam, and welcome everyone to today's presentation. Again, my name is Michael Corgett here at the Retirement Group, and today we're going to talk about the AT&T pension plan in some pretty general terms, how your pension is calculated, and then some of the impacts on that calculation that determine what a lump sum benefit as well as other annuity benefit options are depending on your situation. So let's go ahead and dive right in. We're going to talk about the monthly age 65 annuity, obviously the importance of retirement planning, which is something that we would certainly appreciate the opportunity to talk to you more about. Making sure that you have a plan. The sooner that you do start to plan, the better off that you're going to be. As far as your retirement is concerned, we've always felt, and I've always believed this, the sooner that someone starts planning prior to a retirement event, especially if you can make it on your own terms, versus a potential retirement option when you are offered a severance or you're being surplused. Doing it on your on your own terms is obviously better than doing it on the company's terms. So having a plan, the sooner that you do start planning, the better off you're going to be. And we are happy to put together one of our retirement cash flow analysis, which will give you a roadmap for your potential retirement, whether it's a month from now, a year from now, or even 5 or 10 years from now. And then why you might want to consider the Retirement Group. We're a group of advisors with a great deal of experience in working with AT&T employees as well as the employees of many Fortune 500 companies nationwide. So let's go ahead. The monthly age 65 annuity is a benefit that is calculated as a monthly single life annuity. That benefit is, the single life annuity is the monthly benefit that all calculations basically are determined from. The single life annuity is the largest monthly benefit. If you were not an eligible employee after your legacy plan's merger date, then the applicable formula depends on that legacy plan in which you participated in. And the opposite is true if you are an eligible employee after your legacy plan's merger date, then the benefits are based on the monthly 65 life annuity formula for the current company. So let's talk about pension distributions, the single life annuity, some of the joint and survivor options, the look back period with interest rates, and then the lump sum options and a general idea of how those are calculated. The single life annuity, again, it is a monthly single life annuity. It's a benefit from which all other benefits are determined. Now, typically, under the current calculation, what's called the CAM formula, which is what most SBC employees are their pensions calculated. Essentially, the bulk of your compensation for more than the past 20 years goes into a formula to determine what your single life annuity amount is. It is a fixed amount that you would receive every month for the rest of your life. There is no cost of living built into these amounts. So, if you're going to get that $2,000 a month today, you better appreciate it, because it will still be $2,000 a month 20 years from now. So please keep that in mind. But again, the single life annuity is the amount of monthly income that all other benefits are calculated from. A joint and survivor annuity is obviously a great benefit that's offered to retirees who would like to provide a benefit to their spouse, along with all of their other retirement benefits and retirement assets, including Social Security. There are factors that affect the overall survivor annuity. Look at it this way. The single life annuity is the largest monthly amount. If you want a joint and 50% survivor, or a 75% survivor, or even 100% survivor, you are obviously going to give something up to provide a benefit to your spouse. And the more benefit that you want to provide your spouse, the more you're going to give up. So there's a big difference between a joint and 50% survivor and a joint and 100% survivor. A factor that I like to talk about in most of these presentations is this. Think of a single life annuity as $1,000 a month. A joint and 50% survivor annuity typically reduces the single life annuity by about 10% to provide a 50% amount of that benefit. Simply stated, $1,000 a month single life annuity, a $900 a month joint and 50% survivor annuity. The survivor benefit is $475 a month, 10%. A joint and 75% annuity typically reduces the single life annuity by 15% on average. And then a joint and 100% survivor annuity does typically reduce your single life annuity amount by the neighborhood of 20%. So again, the more you'd like to provide your spouse, the less that you're going to collect during your lifetime. Most of these plans, including the AT&T plan, have what is called a pop-up provision. So if you choose a survivor benefit and your spouse predeceases you, you will get a pop-up to the single life annuity amount. So you would go back to that total, that $1,000 a month in my example. So there is a benefit to that. But, providing your spouse, I know it's important. There are options where you may want to consider self-insuring that benefit if you're in good health. It's called pension maximization. There's a lot of different things that we can do and illustrate for you. But in the most general of terms, I just want you to understand, hey, you could take a single life annuity, and if you are single, that's probably what you should do. But with a spousal benefit, it all depends on your overall financial situation. The look-back period. All of the plans, including AT&T's, observe some historical interest rates. The look-back period helps employees to make educated and informed retirement choices to determine what their pension values will be. AT&T, essentially in November of each year, the three-tiered segmented interest rates are locked in at the end of November. And those are the rates that go into every calculation for the succeeding year, even though these rates are published monthly. So each month you could get an idea of where these rates are going month after month after month. Are they going up, which is not good for lump sums, or are they going down, which is good for some lump sums? But once the rates are locked in November, you will know what interest rates are going into a calculation for a lump sum in the entire next year. So the rates for this year were locked in November of 2024, and so on, moving back through time. It does provide some stability for planning purposes. You're not going to get surprised whether you decide to retire on January 2nd or December 30th. The calculation will be the same, all else being equal as far as time is concerned. All right. The more service that you've got, I mean, you do have a little bit more service in December than you do in January, but it's not going to be a significant amount. And here is a table that talks about where the interest rates have been for the past several years. I mentioned November of 24. The rates did come down some. On average, lump sums went up maybe 4, 5, possibly 6% from the prior year's interest rates, which the rates for 2024 are at near historical highs, which means we had historical lows in lump sums. The rates for 23 were almost as bad. Looking at the rates for 2022 and 2021, this is when we saw lump sums that were probably never any bigger than they were in those couple of years. And then just moving from 22 into 23 and 24, we saw lump sum values on average drop anywhere from 25 to almost 40% and possibly even more. That's a significant amount. Nothing else has changed other than the interest rates. Your mortality goes into it as well. So the younger you are, all else being equal to a colleague who is older, you've got a longer life expectancy, your lump sum is going to be bigger, assuming that the two of you ran on the same track through your entire time with the company. So please keep these things in mind. Interest rates are beginning to moderate. They started to at the tail end of last year, and then they jumped back up again where we had some pretty hot inflation numbers. The Federal Reserve is the one that controls all short-term interest rates, which impact all rates all over. And the Federal Reserve has said that they're going to lower rates this year, but it looks like more and more it was possibly 2 or 3 times, possibly 4 times, then it dropped to 2 times. And the last I heard, the Fed may only lower rates 1 time this year. They did it 3 times last year for a total of 1 full percentage point. And this is all about inflation to the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve uses interest rates to control overall spending, which in turn, the higher rates, the less spending that's going to be done. Mortgages, borrowing, people borrowing money to buy things. And they're going to keep those rates high to try and tamp down inflation. Moving forward, I'm certain that the rates for calculation in 2026 and 2027, if you can wait that long, are going to be lower than they are this year or in the previous couple of years. But here's a graph that just shows where those 3-tiered rates have been over the last several years, and the significant drop that you saw in 2020 and 2021, where lump sums jumped very high. It was pretty incredible. But again, rates are down a little bit this year, so lump sums are going to be a little bit higher, as I mentioned. And then lump sum options, they are the actuarial equivalent to the total annuity that you would have received as a single life annuity during your lifetime. Okay, what does that mean? Okay, that single life annuity, and I use my example again of $1,000 a month, based on your life expectancy and based on where the interest rates are, there's a factor determined. The younger that you are, the higher the factor. The lower the interest rates, the higher the factor. That factor is multiplied by your single life annuity to determine what your lump sum is. And those actuarial factors, there's tables that you can follow and see. I mean, the tables are very significant. They're very large. But just keeping in mind that, again, the single life annuity is where it all begins. A lump sum is yours. So there is no death benefit any longer when you take the lump sum, other than that asset is now part of your estate. And if it's invested correctly and not squandered, it can be left to your spouse and or your children and or your grandchildren moving forward. I also like to talk about thinking of a mortgage as an annuity, okay? A $1,950 a month annuity or a $1,950 a month mortgage payment. With interest rates being 4%, you can borrow less money to get that $1,950 a month payment. If interest rates are 3%, same monthly payment, but a higher amount that you could borrow. This is the same impact that interest rates have using the actuarial factors to determine how much a lump sum is. And it can be significant just in this little example. So again, these are just some things that you want to keep in mind moving forward. I talked in the simplest of terms about where the annuity, how the annuity is calculated, and the factors that go into a lump sum calculation. I want to stress again the opportunity for you to take advantage of letting us put together a retirement plan for you, our cash flow analysis. All you have to do is reach out. I mean, this is a true statistic. Most Americans do not have a retirement plan. And for the most part, those who do, they didn't start planning until less than 5 years from their retirement. You're better off starting as soon as you can. You're going to be better off long term. The retirement group, as I mentioned earlier, we're a group of advisors with a great deal of experience. We've been working with AT&T employees for a long, long time. I personally have been an advisor for more than 35 years. We've got offices nationwide. We've got a great knowledge on the AT&T benefits programs as well as your medical programs. And we're happy to put together that complimentary cash flow analysis. You can schedule a meeting with myself or one of my colleagues by scanning this QR code here on the left. Follow us on our LinkedIn page with the QR code on the right. Our LinkedIn page is filled with a lot of great information, lots of blog posts, lots of newsletters, and so all sorts of things. Plus our future webinar schedules are also on our LinkedIn page. You can also email us, and you can send us, you could give us a call at 1-800-900-5867. I don't want to oversimplify this, but I do, again, the idea here is to get you to think about how your pension is calculated. The more time you've got with the company, the bigger your annuity, therefore the bigger your lump sum, depending on what your compensation was. If your compensation was higher, the bigger the annuity, the bigger the lump sum. Craft or union employees, their pension is based off of their job title, which can be higher for, let's say, someone who works outside like a repairman versus someone who works inside as a records clerk. So did their pay. The person who works outside, their hourly rate is higher than someone who works inside like a records clerk. But the records clerks are important as well. So I really want to thank everyone for the opportunity today. I hope this was helpful, and we'll look forward to seeing you again at our next webinar. Thank you.